Sorry, a tiny bit of audio fixing here. This is the first time we're using our fancy new streaming setup with all the extra cameras and all the mixing desk built in and all the automatic ducking. But I think we have the hang of it now. So yeah, the thing I was playing with is just is the chord oscillator that remembers the last chord and then is being pitched by whatever note is played last. So it's a very nice way to make all these classic stabby sounds. But I promised to make this into a quantizer experiment. And let's see if I can make a quantizer experiment out of this real quick. I'll sequence this using the sequencer. And I'll give it a centralized clock. There. There we go. We have the chord oscillator still playing the last chord I played on MIDI, so I can only change the chord, but I don't change the pitch of the chord now. I'll demonstrate this. And now I'm going to use the quantizer to add something on top of that. Aha! Thank you, Kiran. Is it listed now? I changed the publicity settings to listed now, public. I hope it actually changes it on the fly. Otherwise we may have to restart the stream. So what it's doing now is I have used a triangle LFO to slightly lift the melody of this single tick sequence up and down. If I make the LFO faster, you can hear the pitch going faster. Now I'm going to make the sequence longer and use these steps to also play a melody, and then use the LFO to make the melody vary over the scale. first try it without the quantizer, otherwise this is getting confusing. Now I'll add the triangle level back in. moment to explain again what the hell is going on. I have extended the quantizer with a second voice because the LFO goes into the main quantizer and it's added to the sequence for the main upper melody. And the second non-sequenced quantizer output I've used to make the bass sound. So that's an extra Fenix oscillator that's playing the bass note underneath the chord oscillator. And then I used the clock with a sequenced rhythm to add the tiny tick 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 tick, almost hi-hat sounds in the background. And the whole thing is still going through the effects, except for the tiny tick 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 that's going straight into the master output. And then I've changed the rate of the main triple LFO that's making the drift on the quantizer, and I've connected the wobbler on a very slow speed to vary the rate of the triple LFO. So sometimes it goes a bit faster, sometimes it goes a bit slower. And on the whole is this generative patch. And meanwhile, the whole thing is still playing with the chord oscillator in chord mode. So if I now play a different chord on my keyboard on the side here, I can drastically change how the whole thing is going to sound. Try to put some delay. Change that third one also for something sequenced. And after that I'll explain what I've changed again, because there's quite a lot already changed again since the last time I said anything. Yeah, that's one thing I have been doing. I am sending the sequencer a clock, but the clock itself has a tiny bit of rhythm to it. Maybe it's also time that I just make that pattern neutral to make it slightly more obvious what's going on. Right now it's an 8-step mini gate sequence. It's impossible to see on the camera, however. It's like on, off, on, off, on. But if I put it all on, now it's just playing regular. Ooh, that actually sounds nice. That needs an LFO. But I was almost as far as getting clock 1 going, and clock 1 should trigger the wavetable. There we go. A bit fast now though. Sequence that too. Anyway, I think it's about time we do something else with this. Any requests from the chat while I unplug stuff? I think at least now one question that we had earlier from somebody before this whole stream started about sending gates to the clock. I'll unplug this first, and then I'll do a quick demo of how to actually send stuff to the sequencer or clock it externally. It's in many ways, of course, I have been clocking it externally right now because the sequencer has this clock gate input over there. And if you send it to clock, you can just step the sequencer through manually or use the speed knob as a division level. So you can send it any gate or any button or any MIDI note coming in, or just from your Eurorack system, an external gate. Yeah. So you can advance it step by step. So I will leave this tiny triangle here.
And random would like
a massive drone. Okay, a massive drone. Ooh. I'll do the clock advance, and then I'll get onto a massive drone. I mean, the first suggestion wins.
And to dig into the noise box.
The noise box, okay.
There's some tricks with that eventually.
Yes, noise box and massive drones. Maybe we can even combine the two. So I have a sequencer now. It's running, but it's not running because it's on external clock right now. And there's no clock plugged in, so it's not moving. Now I'm going to first set up a synth sound to make this nice and easy to follow. Let's make a single oscillator going into the output. Okay, here we have just one tiny blip connected to the sequencer, just to the button. So the button triggers the ADSR directly now. Now I'm going to give the gate to the sequencer. There. And the sequencer is not doing anything because I'm not clocking it. So instead of connecting it anywhere else, I'm just connecting the tiny button over here that's on the Fenix to the clock input. And I hope it's visible, but if I press it, the sequencer goes one down. Now, if I also connect the pitch, then maybe things are even more apparent. So I'm now triggering it manually, so every time I just tick it, it continues one further. I can also do slightly wilder things with that, because we have this case microphone in here, and there is a gate threshold for that. Let's see if I can make that work. So now every time I hit the Fenix, it just progresses the sequencer one step. So that, I hope that explains the clock options for the person that asked for that. I don't know who asked for that.
I don't know if they're here. Somebody on Instagram.
Somebody from Instagram. So many platforms these days. But now we get into the massive drone territory. People please start shouting ingredients for a massive drone. I'll just start with, what shall I start with? For some reason I always feel a ring modulator, and the ring modulations and wave folders, those are inexplicably linked to drones in my head. And of course, many components. So let's also start with the mixer. The ring modulated part. And we're already going into the effect. So let's make it. Using the waveguide for this. hope this is in the category of massive drone as requested. Droning as a genre is not something I often do, but sometimes we just have to try. So for the next thing, let's see if we can do something with noise box as requested. Something subtle and simple. After all this droning violence. Drum and bass. Okay, let's drum and bass with a noise box. I will do the noise box thing first. And let's set up the delay line to be tempo synced this time. And tempo sync to the internal clock. Time source is internal. And okay, noise box. I have the noise box here. It's already triggering stuff. Generally stuff. Now it's triggering an envelope for me. You can already see the envelope going blinky blinky. Let's start with a pinged filter. Pinged filters are nice with the noise box. This is my effect chain. So do I need to ping it with something? Of course. Let's do this one instead. I'm using the SVF filter instead of the ladder filter for this. Because it pings very nicely. I'm now using a really deep sawtooth to just use the edge of the sawtooth to ping the filter. And I have a tiny envelope over it to just prevent over ringing from the pinging. And from then I can use the noise box is now doing the triggers. If I change the rate, it's like holding your Geiger counter closer to the uranium. So we have the noise box is now randomly triggering this pingy blob. And we also have the value output, and the value output can give us nice pitches. are getting somewhere where I think that if we add a standard two-step beat to this, it could definitely have us in drum and bass territory. So I'll be building just that. Let's see if I can build something using the low pass gate for a hi-hat. That may work very well. Using the white noise, well, I'll take the blue noise from the noise box as well for the hi-hat sound. And I'm using the low pass gate instead of a VCA and envelope combination. More of a sort of snare sound, so let's just go with it and make it a snare sound. More VCAs for bass drum. Let's take going to be a weird bass drum, but that one goes there. And now trigger this thing. Just maybe not loud enough. So I'm adding an extra mixer channel to just boost it double again. And we're slowly getting to our bass drum as well. It's a slightly different one than my favorite easy one. For making sound machines, the input module is a triple triangle output from the chord oscillator, goes into the input module as a clipper. Now, of course, we need some droning, long-going actual bass, and I have just a thing for that. I will hook up my keyboard so I can live play some bass. I have my MIDI interface still connected. If I play notes, you can see these LEDs blink. But let's see, I have a gate going to an envelope. I have another VCA going on. I'll use the digital oscillator for deep, gnarly, sawtooth bass. And I'll have to mix it in with effects, why not? Not quite bass yet. getting closer. Needs pitch, of course. And using the pitch also from the media interface. Just make the kick and snare slight bit less taily, so there's more space for all the other sounds. This needs to have more automation on the filter, and I'm going to reset this LFO with the arpeggiator that is still running. Now I think I also need a bit louder version of the bass, because everything else is not as loud anymore. Or I can just turn everything else down further. Anyway, drum and bass-ish things. We can also try and redo the beat with some less obvious, not less unhandy parts, because of the drum and bass I was using everything else for everything else. But it does have bass. Priscilla makes an excellent point that I haven't actually explained anything much about the noise box. Currently it is still pinging things. And we can change the distribution of what exactly is being pinged and how and when with the controls here. Like the rate is just how often in general. Then time is the type of irregularity in the timing. Like all the way to the left is very much in tempo, just tick 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 tick. And in the middle there's all kinds of distributions, like beta distributions and Gaussian distributions, and yeah, in the manual has all of them. I think 7. They'll interpolate neatly from regular through all kinds of chaos to half-speed regular. Then the timbre does the same thing for what kind of value it creates. So you can go from very regular ones, from very chaotic ones and flat noise distributions to more Gaussian distributions or binary distributions. So now it almost always takes the same results. Now it's a very resonant filter pinging on an oscillator, so we can also change the character a lot by just changing. Oh, I see that No just joined the chat. Advancing the sequencer via gates. Yes, we just demonstrated that. I'm actually doing it right now as well. If I press go again. Because in this case I'm using the clock gate output here to just send the clock tick to the sequencer. And if I enable the sequencer again, let's just manually trigger this. So I enable it. And it's not progressing. But if I give a gate using the button press I have down here, I can manually press. So every time I press, the sequencer now goes one down, and you can also hook that up to anything else. Like it can also, since the noise box is triggering all kinds of stuff now anyway, let's make this whole thing super chaotic and send the trigger to the sequencer advance and to the blips being generated. So that's sort of randomly advancing the sequencer now, using the noise box as well. What's next? Do we have any other requests or things or sounds? Or because we had the drum and bass, we had the drone. What can we do next? First, I'll unplug it. Please post suggestions while I unplug. Oh, I think I wanted to show somebody the the weird stuff that was in the FM oscillator. Because a lot of people are always asking, how much is this like the Fenix II? Well, there's a lot of Fenix II in there. But nobody's asking, what can this do that the Fenix II cannot do? And one of the things is really nice digital FM. So let's go. Correct, it is. I am now hooking up the digital oscillator output 1 to a VCA. VCA 4 is my favorite.
You are not using the recommended color codes.
I am not using recommended color codes because I'm so sorry, Priscilla. However, I do have. Well, now that you've said it, now I have to record it. So I'll use a neutral white patch cable from our older patch cables. Okay, I have an envelope to a VCA and the oscillator going through there. I'll make a tiny sequence so I can have more. I can have my hands free to actually operate this thing. Put it a bit slower. Digital oscillator. So it's set to FM mode now. There's no quantization going on there. Anti-aliasing is set to yes, and quantize operator 1 pitch is set to no. Let's make it a normal melody first. With a tiny bit of reverb. Because why not? Already well into classic FM territory here. Let's also set the sequencer to quantize to something else, because right now it's just doing white notes. Another classic thing to do with an FM setup is, of course, have multiple envelopes, and each envelope controlling the amount of some of the operators. So I'm going to use ADSR 1 to control the amount of operator 1. That's a bit sharp. And scale it using all the CV utilities on the right here. So now I have parameter 3, and parameter 3 is an extra operator that we can also add to it, which has a pitch that's fixed in the menu the device, so hard to show. I still need an extra camera to zoom in deep enough for that. But you can set fixed ratios in there. So the parameter 2 is free. You can just dial in whatever you want. But the parameter 3 operator is fixed. The parameter 2 also shows you on screen what the current ratio is. Or actually, it just shows you in sense how far detuned you are. But you can quantize the second one. And that sounds like this. Quantize the rest as well. Let's split these. Split the pitch over multiple oscillators. Add another VCA. Because this needs more bass. Set this a bit faster so I can actually tune this first. Yay! There's more suggestions in the chat box. A poly extender patch, that sounds interesting, and anything for the octave selector besides just selecting octaves. Let me unplug this first. Poly extender is of course hard to show because then, yeah, it's pretty much me playing a chord that you can't see. It's almost the same as if I would just sequence 4 outputs individually. I can indeed show how to set that up. And the octave selector, maybe you can combine those two again. So first I'm going to set up the whole poly poly thing. First channel. I'm going to please not do that, please. I'm going to set up the note and gate on the first channel, and on every channel below it is going to extend this note and gate setup. So I'm in the MIDI menu, and then this, the top one is now note and gate, listening to DIN channel 1. So it's doing its thing. If I press a key on the keyboard, blink, 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 then the second one is going to be poly extender, and the third one is going to be a poly extender, and the fourth one is also going to be a poly extender. And as you can see, if I now press a note, it goes to the next one every time, because it's now allocating this as if it's one polysynth. Hope the blinky is actually visible enough on the stream. I'm pressing one note, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and that goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I press 2, 2 remain on, third one, fourth one. If I release them again, they go off. So let's see what we can build with this. First, well, there's of course only 3 envelopes, and we have 4 sounds, or 4 voices now allocated. So how are we going to fix this one? This is part of why this is so much fun, though. Everything becomes a very weird challenge. The fourth one, I'm going to just use a low-pass gate, using the gate input. Now I have 3 envelopes. VCA1 is going to be voice number 1, is ADSR 1. Let's do 2 is ADSR 2. 3 is the ADSR. So 2 is going to that one. 4 is going this one. And now I need to have some sound sources for all of these. First I need to tune them actually. Phoenix oscillator goes into the VJ1. Going to mix these together. The sawtooth 1 is going to be our second voice, which is also going to the mixer. Third voice is coming from the digital oscillator, which I'll set to sawtooth as well, to start with at least. Still not hearing anything, still building. Set the channels almost center. As you can see, it's a bit difficult to actually set this up. width, there's still a quantizing going on. That of course doesn't help. No quantizing, no good. Okay, 3 voices are doing the same. Excellent. So now I can set up pitches for these 3 voices. And maybe I'm going to just skip the 4th voice to just stop the headache. This is the one that goes to this one, that's correct. Second one is the one that goes to chord oscillator, and then the third one I'll set the last poly extender just to be something else, just to skip it. So I now have a 3 voice synthesizer. So there we have it. The Fenix is now set up as a 3 voice polyphonic synth. But now all the voices are the same, which is slightly boring. Also, let's put the effects back on because I like them. Stereo chorus for maximum polysynth experience. So that's already a nice bit of polysynthing going on. Now I'm going to change a bunch of stuff around. So we have make the voices all different. Now one of them is already playing a chord by itself. And as you can hear with the distribution, sometimes it takes a different root note for the chord to play on. Now let's add some filters to one other voice, or maybe triple. Filter to this one. So the filter is now, this one goes into the gray one. Is so we have 3 very asymmetric voices. Let's also make this one weirder by giving it its own phaser. So one voice will be phased. One voice is a triple square thing on a filter, and one voice is a chord. Which means that if you play it all together, I think I forgot something. Oh yeah, the oscillator switch. Oscillator switch, well, it goes up and down, of course. So anything that does anything interesting with a up and down by one, we can use. Like, what shall we do with this? Let's go to a multiple first. And this is one of the things it can directly do, of course, is the filter. And then something we can do indirectly is the switch. So something on the patch, something in the patch we can select out of two, like for instance the main oscillator. We can select from the triple oscillator, or the triangle oscillator but distorted, or the, wait, yeah, let's distort something. So yeah, distorted triangle. So now we have the triangle oscillator being distorted by this input module, or the triple square going into the switch. So if when we hit the switch, it simultaneously changes the filter cutoff on one thing and changes the style of the oscillator on the other thing. that gives some more ideas for what to do with the octave selector switch. I was playing chords and then sometimes enabling the extra overtones with the different style and the extra overtones using that switch. I think this is about it for us today. We've been streaming for 1.5 hours. So yay! For anyone interested in one of these machines, we still have a bunch of them sitting on the shelf right now. The waiting list is over, so by the time you get into contact with us, we'll probably ship it within the next 2 or 3 days after dealing with the formalities of purchasing one with all the options. So yeah, get in touch. If there's any more questions, please ask. We'll be happy to help. There's also a TiNRS Discord channel. We'll probably put a link somewhere to that in the description of this thing. And see you next stream. Goodbye, people. Thank you for hanging out with us. And yeah, see you next time.